Like I was looking at how she was, because her mission is to expose the ideology behind the Western as silly. That's her mission in this book. And your approach also is very careful. Like, hold on, that's how I understand your approach here, which is a very honorable approach. I like it. Which is like, hold on, we should not point a finger. There's a African proverb, Cameroonian proverb that says, when you point one finger at someone, three are looking back at you. Sometimes even the four, but three, because you do like this. So all these finger points at you when one is pointing up there and one point up, right? So what to say is easy to accuse, it's easy to blame, it's easy, but not really looking at your own thing. So what what I'm understanding in your analysis or reflection on this thing is, well, yeah, but is it not also true the point Montague is making? Like, why do we like always kind of see the evil, even if there isn't necessarily evil there? Like always blaming the other culture for doing what it's doing. Are we also not doing what we are accusing other people of doing to us? Are we also not doing to them? Like I feel like that is a little bit the spirit that you. And I agree with you. Yeah. What if tomorrow is us? Yes. Great. Yeah, you made the point. You really made the point, because you see, we can understand where Annie is coming from in terms of the ideology behind Montague's assumption that we already accept the definition of progress, even though we other culture might not agree with what that is, but we already take it for granted and now go from there and say, well, we're not like them because we don't have the opportunities, right? And she said it's about worldview. It's not about, because she continue and say it's not about opportunity. It's about worldview. It's about how different culture view themselves and their contribution to their own lives and to the world. That is what progress for her is. Like you go to a primitive culture that is happy to just fish, hunt, and do their own thing. That is their level of development there. They're happy with that, and that for them is enough. The whole thing about the plane, the phone, and all the illnesses that come with progress and development, and all that, that's not for them. That life that they chose is the life that is development for them, right? Looking at that from that perspective is a worldview. That is the argument, the point that Annie is making. So coming from Europe and saying, no, your culture is not progressive yet because you still hunt and fish and not have clothes and live in the forest and don't have road and blah blah vaccine and all that. That is not progress. We have already passed this. You're still like at the level of animal, right? But meaning what she's saying is he is imposing his definition of what they have decided that progress is. Technology, phone, flying, a car, and vaccines and all that, bringing that definition to now that primitive culture, or primitive in quote, indigenous culture that has never had any contact with that, transporting that definition onto that culture and giving it, taking it for granted that that culture will agree that this is what progress is as presented by Montague. And then the culture will say, oh yes, based on what you're telling us that progress is, we're not progressive like you, we're primitive. But based on our own reality, within our own worldview, within the way we look at ourselves, we think we are developed, because this is what development means to us. This is what progress means to us. Building the most beautiful mud house, having the most beautiful skin wear, animal skin wear around our waist, having the most beautiful arrow to hunt, and the most beautiful this and that, and the most beautiful whatever we put on our skin. For us, this is why we consider development. whoever can make this design, some tribe in Africa, and make those design, their face and all that, whoever can make it so beautiful, or like the Maasai with the big earrings and all, whoever can make it to the perfection, for us, it is development, to do it perfectly and well. That is our definition of development. You see? So if that's what she's saying, if we are using the definition of progress based on how one culture will define it and impose it on another culture that has nothing to do with that, then that culture was presenting that we call the other culture primitive. So that's why she said no to Montague. Hold on, you already assume that we agree on what you call progress, but no, it's not a matter of opportunity, because you say if that indigenous culture now is given the same opportunity that your culture was given, they will also develop the same way your culture developed. That is what Montague is saying. But because that indigenous culture there was never given that opportunity, therefore they can never develop like the other culture in Europe that has developed that way, right? So she said, no, it's not about opportunities, because you want that culture there, the indigenous there, to develop based on your reality, which they don't care about. They don't even want to do it. But it's a matter of worldview. It's a matter of value. What they see as being value to them, what they see as being development to them, is how they will define their own development. That is the point she's making. So, but if now we come and agree now, because you say, well, it's cyclical. Now is the West and dominating, but it was not the West before, and now it can change. Now it's moving to Asia, and then Africa is also slated to take over when Asia will be exhausted, just like the West is being exhausted with development now. Africa will be the fertile ground now, so it would be cyclical. So, and you're saying, well, like Montague also has a point, because this thing changes hands. It's very cyclical. It will move on to another culture that will be dominating and setting the rules and all that. So then what will be the narrative at the time? So again, if I follow your logic, which is valid, that will also assume that progress will be as defined by Montague, or as defined by the reality that we all live in right now, excluding indigenous people who still live in their own reality that have nothing to do with modernity, the way we define progress today. In terms, yeah, we cannot predict. The point I'm making is there will always be cultures that will not be in contact. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm too categorical. I might be wrong. But I feel like there could always be culture that we don't know exists somewhere that insulated themselves, and will not have anything to do with what we, the majority of people, I will assume now, define as progress. Modern hospital, cars, flying, the plane, the phone, and all these kind of things, and technology. Some culture, even in India, I showed you a documentary in India, the culture that is chasing away foreigner, even they want to go evangelize them, they're killing them because they don't want any people to come to their territory, because they don't want to open themselves to what we call progress, because they're happy with what they're doing in India and North India. I told you that many tribes are like that are happy with. So those tribes must always exist, even as culture, the progressive culture change hands, right? Those will always be there. So the fundamental question will be, how do we define progress? How do we address the needs of those who do not recognize themselves in the definition of progress as we understand them, as we understand it? That is the point I'm trying to make. Yeah. So the paragraph there ends with, the idea of progress is inherently racialist. Once it is accepted, the progressive person must always be identified as Euro or Caucasian. So that would be two we have this huge polemic there, right? Because the same thing that she is blaming Montague, again, because we read an author to critique that author. The same thing that she's accusing Montague, she's doing it. She says Montague assumes that we all agree with what progress is. And now she says that we must, she's also suggesting that we must all agree that progress is inherently racialist. And once we accept it, do you see that sentence? Do you see that sentence? The paragraph where Montague's apology for primitive, the last sentence of that paragraph. The last sentence of that paragraph. The idea of progress is inherently racialist. That's second to last. And then once it is accepted, the progressive person must always be identified Euro-Caucasian. So how can you, on the one hand, tell us that Montague is mistaken because he assumes that we all agree on what progress is, and then she's telling us to all agree that progress is inherently racialist, and then once we accept it, it must always be Euro-Caucasian. People will object to that there are non-Euro-Caucasian that will recognize themselves in, racialist progress. It is complex.